Hello and welcome to another optics trade review. I have a Holosun open reflex red dot sight here today, namely the 407C V2 model. Holosun is a young brand, but they have a lot of experience in the field of manufacturing red dot sights from before. And in their offer, along with red dot sights, one can find lasers and magnifiers, but I'm sure that their offer will expand in the future. They're known for offering quality devices at an affordable price and for offering many innovative features in the field of red dot sights, such as solar cell on the housing, green gold illumination, titanium housing, and so on. This is the second generation of the 407C model. The first generation models were introduced a few years ago and soon became very popular among pistol and rifle users. And a few months ago, Holosun came up with the second generation. And at the beginning of this review, I want to point out the differences between the first and the second generation models. So, if you take a look at them, you can immediately notice the first difference. The first generation was equipped with smaller buttons, which were placed horizontally, whereas the new model has bigger buttons placed vertically. Bigger buttons are much easier to click, and the placement of the buttons is much more intuitive. So you can remember much easier. It is much easier to remember that the plus is on the top, whereas here it was, I would say, difficult to memorize the position of the buttons if you weren't looking at them. The second difference has to do with the battery compartment. With the old model, it was on the bottom, so in order to install a new battery, one had to remove the sight from the firearm, and then when it was put back, it had to be re-zeroed if this fixed Picatinny mount was used. Now that the battery compartment is on the side, as you can see here, this whole procedure is much easier. So you don't have to remove it from the firearm, and you don't have to re-zero it after, so you simply use this tool here. Oh, sorry. You simply use this tool here to first unscrew the screw, and then with this side, and then to pry open the battery tray with this side. A useful tool. Good to have it on you if you need battery replaced, as it will make it much easier. But now that the battery compartment was moved upwards, there is obviously less space here, so Holosun had to go with another battery standard. Now it's CR1632 instead of CR2032, so a smaller battery is required to power this red dot sight. And these are basically the only two notable differences between the first and the second generation models. So the buttons, their size, and actually the location of the battery compartment. Everything else is pretty much the same, so now I will basically be talking about the features of first and second generation models from now on. This is an open reflex type of sight. It is mostly used on handguns, but it can also be fixed on all rifles that have a Picatinny rail on top, since it comes with a fixed Picatinny mount. It is 45 millimeters long, 28 millimeters wide, 30 millimeters high. With the adapter, you increase the height for, let's say, 4 millimeters. The weight is 42 grams. With the adapter, it is around roughly 70 grams. And even though it's a compact reflex red dot sight, it is not as compact as some other red dots made by Noblex, Shield, Vortex, and others. If we take a look, for example, at Noblex Sight C, it is twice as light as 22 grams. Its advantages are definitely durability and robustness. The frame here is much thicker and much more durable than in the competitive red dot sights. The lens is, I would say, of the standard size at 23 millimeters by 17 millimeters. So if we say that again, the sight is not as compact as small as a typical open reflex sight, but much more durable. The footprint used is 3G RMR, a standard not as common as the one found on Dr. Noblex sights, but still, if you require something else, not this fixed Picatinny mount, there is an offer of some adapters by the renowned European manufacturers, and even Chinese, I would say. The housing is made of CNC milled 7075 aluminum, which is strong alloy, stronger than 6061 used on most other red dot sites. Even Holosun used that on most of their sites, but now they're going slowly for stronger aluminum alloys and even for titanium. But whatever floats your boat, so you can pretty much find the sites made of all sorts of aluminum and titanium in their offer. If we look at Holosun numbers, so 407C V2, but numbers are 407, so the first digit 4 stands for a 2 MOA dot radical. This does not have the switchable radical like the models with 5 as the first number. And the second and the third digit simply mean that this is a red dot sight from the Holosun's Open Reflex series. C stands for solar cell on the lens frame. Very useful since you can also use this sight when the battery dies. There are 2 modes to choose from. The solar mode, or it's even called automatic mode, and manual mode. In auto mode, the brightness of the radical is automatically adjusted to match ambient lighting, whereas in manual mode you have 12 illumination intensity levels to choose from. The radical cannot be switched in this model, of course, because it's a 407 model, but in 507 model you can toggle between the radicals by pressing the minus button. Then we also have the screws for elevation and windage settings. Here they are, so they are really, with this tool, they're really easy to rotate. They are a little bit stiff, but I mean that in a positive way, because you can feel each click. And each click is really crisp, and you can hear it because it's loud but not too loud. So no other tools are needed for making the elevation and windage adjustments. And one click equals 1 MOA, which is around 1.5 centimeters of point of impact movement on 50 meters. Here we have small holes on each side. These act as drain holes, so even if it's raining, if you're caught by rain for some reason, the water won't accumulate in this place here, but it will flow out through the drain holes, which is a very nice addition by Holosun. They promise 50,000 hours of battery life at setting 6, even though the battery is smaller, so we might expect a little bit less of battery life. But still, so Holosun lists 50,000 hours, so this is quite nice. The objective lens is tilted. This is not an error, as most people think. And they don't really complain that much here with Open Reflex sight. With parallel models, it's much more apparent, and customers usually think that it's an error. But it's not, because the only way for the diode to reflect back to the user's eye, regardless of its position, is for the lens to be tilted. So this is something completely natural. The sight features IP67 protection, complete protection against dust, that is, and protection up to 1 meter submersion in water for half an hour. The sight operates on a true 1x magnification, easy to use with both eyes open. Some blue tint can be observed when looking through the lens, and especially on the sides, but it's nothing major. There are 12 illumination intensity settings to choose from. 2 are night vision device compatible. The highest work great in strong daytime brightness. Holosun also features in the side the shake awake function, so if you leave the side stationary for a while, the illumination will power on by itself, and then when you move it, the illumination powers back on in an instant. You can also power off the illumination yourself by pressing both the plus and the minus button at the same time. The price is around the price of this one is around, I would say, 300 euros. The warranty is 5 years on the material and 3 years on the electronics. What about the advantages and disadvantages that I now list at the end of the review? So the good ones are definitely bigger sized buttons. the battery moved to the side, so basically everything that the version 2 brings. These are welcome changes. 12 illumination intensity settings to choose from, a solar cell on the top, and the whole package, which is durable and robust. What could be improved is, well, not really improved, but what are the disadvantages in certain aspects. So it is quite bulky and big for an open reflex sight. The competition is smaller, but I would say its assets are durability and robustness and not size. The blue tint still hasn't been removed, but that's nothing major, as I already said. And 2 MOA might be a little bit small for pistol users. Pistol users usually go for 7 or 6 MOA dot size. And if you're a pistol user and prefer a bigger dot size, definitely look at 407 and 507K models, which are new now in 2020. To sum this up, so if you value durability when it comes to open reflex sights, this is currently one of the best choices that you have. It offers plenty of advanced features such as a solar cell, quality, elevation, and windage adjustments. You have 12 illumination intensity levels to choose from, and now you also have big buttons and a battery compartment on the side. So thank you for watching. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure to leave a comment if you want to know everything more, and see you next time. Bye.